Crystal shares of her late husband, if you knew Jerry, you knew that he loved Superman. He always loved Superman's parallel to his own life and the life of Jesus. Adopted, being from another world and not of this one. His superpowers used for the good of other people in need. And I could go on and on about all the parallels for him. The most greatest parallel being the ultimate superhero, Jesus Christ himself. I feel it would be so cool, and Jerry would be so honored if when you come to his viewing, that you'd wear a Superman shirt or red and blue. He would absolutely love that. By the way, Jerry's memorial service was yesterday. He died a week ago before that at the young age of 37. He actually was the husband of our niece, Crystal, and he died in his sleep. He was actually on a retreat with all of his guy friends. He and his wife just had a wonderful ministry, actually traveling all over the country, encouraging worship, bringing revival and renewal, new Lou Engle, just really used by God in a mighty way. So you can imagine our surprise and the shock of the family when we found out that he had passed away suddenly in the night. For me on this Memorial Day weekend, that's still fresh in our memories. And it brought home to me the reality of how tender life is. Especially for us in this part of the world, 37 is a very young age. And for somebody so full of life and so vibrant to go home so soon is truly our loss and yet heaven's gain. Jerry, one of the things about him that special about him was he had an infectious joy about him. And he had an incredible smile. Smiling for him was really important because he felt that a smile communicated to people around you a sense of joy and a sense of warmth and a sense of enthusiasm. And that as people saw him smiling, that maybe they might want what he had. And in particular, that being that relationship with Jesus Christ, which for him was really the heartbeat of his life. This Memorial Day weekend is a very special time that we share every year. And it's important that we do. It's a time for family and friends to gather together. It's a time for picnics and sharing food and laughs and memories. It's a time to celebrate and remember, which is what Memorial is all about. It's about remembering. It's celebrating our honored dead, especially those who have served in the military that have gone before us and have really, many of them, paid the ultimate sacrifice that we would be free, that we could enjoy the benefits of this republic and the Constitution and a government that is truly unique throughout the world. And to this day, we continue to give thanks for those who serve in our military throughout the world, that we might be free. It's also a very important time for us this weekend, as Jen and I do in a very fresh way, to remember loved ones who have passed on before us, friends, family, people that we knew, and remember, I think, the example of their life and what they leave for us. In my years of ministry, I have done a lot of funerals and burials already in a lot of different places. And one of the things I always try to do whenever I'm in that place, at that service with loved ones, is I try to remember that person's life. And I try to remember the good about them. And I also try to take to heart what it is about their life that they taught me. How I might model after their life in some way, shape, or form, my life would be better and a greater witness for people that are around me. And so I think that's a very important part of this Memorial Day weekend. By all means, have fun. By all means, eat hearty, have a great time, party on, enjoy, celebrate the fireworks, the parades, and all of that, by all means. But I think also I really would encourage you, especially tomorrow, as you have time, to take a moment to be at a memorial somewhere and to remember those who have gone on before you and what their death teaches you about your life. Again, I would submit to each one of us that I don't believe we can really begin to live until we have considered the reality of our mortality, that our days are numbered. And whether we live 80 years or die at 37 years in the night as a total surprise, we do not know our days. And I believe that as we come home to that reality, and as we embrace our own mortality and our death one day, it is at that moment we can truly begin to live and drink deep of the cup of life and realize what a gift and a grace that it is to God from us. So it's very timely that our psalm is what it is today. I actually had that included today for another reason, but with the death that happened recently, it really ties in anyways. And I think this psalm is a very powerful psalm, especially this Memorial Day weekend. O Lord, I'm not proud, I have no haughty looks. I do not occupy myself with great matters or with things that are too hard for me. Again, the very beginning of this psalm is an invitation to humility. And ultimately, in our experience as human beings on the earth, I think if we're really on the journey and we're doing the journey right, we'll come to a place of humility. There'll be great joy about life, there'll be great blessing, there'll be great achievement, but there'll also be an overwhelming sense of our humanity and who we are in the great scheme of things. And that there'll be an overwhelming sense of humility in our lives and a sense of where we are in that. And that's why the psalmist says, I do not occupy myself with great matters or with things that are too hard for me. How often for us as human beings are we occupying ourselves with things that are too big for us? And it's too big for you, by the way, if you worry about it all the time. It's too big for you if it's keeping you up at night. It's too big for you if you try to figure it out and it still doesn't make sense to you. I don't know about you, but I can put a lot of things in those categories. It doesn't mean I shouldn't use my mind. It doesn't mean I shouldn't apply myself. It doesn't mean there won't be struggles in life. But I do believe also that it means as we approach these matters in our life, we need to approach them with a great degree of humility. And that as we approach life in that way, I believe we will receive insights from God that we wouldn't receive otherwise. Verse 3, but I still my soul and make it quiet. Like a child upon its mother's breast, my soul is quieted within me. O Israel, wait upon the Lord from this time forth forevermore. And so again, in the beauty of life on this Memorial Day weekend, as we consider so many of the great blessings that all of us have in our lives, I would invite us to a time of remembrance, to take a few moments together in solitude to remember those who have gone on before us, those in our military, those loved ones and families and friends who have taught us so many different things, and to bring back to mind and to our heart the lessons that they left us. I would also invite us to a moment of being still before the Lord, being still before the Creator of heaven and earth, and to do so with a great sense of humility, and to take a moment in the midst of our very busied and important lives to listen, to be still, and to know that He is God. And in listening for just a few moments, to hear what He might say to us. And finally, I would invite us as we come to the end of this brief time together, that our hope would be planted even more firmly in God. That as much as you might find life perplexing for you right now, as much as things in the world seem to be out of kilter, may we in this moment, may we on this weekend, may we in this place find a hope in our Lord that is renewed, that is revitalized, and that ultimately will make sense out of my life, out of your life, and out of our common humanity. So let us take time to be still before our Lord.